Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our presentation titled Healthy Food for Denver's Kids, a Tax-Funded Health Equity Initiative. I'm here joined by two colleagues presenting for the Hunger-Free Communities Virtual Summit. So this is just an overview of the content we're going to cover over the next 30 minutes or so with you all. We'll give a bit of an introduction, provide some background and overview about the Healthy Food for Denver's Kids, or HFDK program. I'll share a little bit about the grant making and funding we've done to date, as well as some of the innovative programs we've supported. And then I'll pass it over to my colleagues from Denver Inner City Parish to share a case study and more about the work they're doing in community. And lastly, we'll wrap up by just sharing a few slides with some resources and hopefully some tangible takeaways that you all can use moving forward. So my name is Lauren Howe. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the program supervisor for the Healthy Food for Denver's Kids initiative out of the City and County of Denver in the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment. And a bit later in the presentation, I will pass it off to my colleagues Jason and Esmeralda from Denver Inner City Parish to talk more about their role and the work that they do. So just to give a little bit of background, these are some highlights from a baseline assessment that the Healthy Food for Denver's Kids evaluation team did for us back in 2020. And just want to set the stage and provide a little bit of background context for what we're talking about today, and specifically the food insecurity landscape in Denver, Colorado. So Denver's child food insecurity rate was about 15% in 2017 and has only dropped slightly to 13% in 2021, according to Feeding America's Map the Meal Gap. We also know that diet quality really varies quite a bit by race, by age, and by neighborhood in the city of Denver, with certain neighborhoods and groups experiencing more disparities and lack of healthy food access. We also know that federal food assistance programs such as SNAP and WIC are often not reaching the children who need it most. Sometimes families don't qualify because their incomes are just above the threshold, or they're not eligible for other reasons. We also know that there are many organizations, partners, and community members who are doing this incredible work, and the improved coordination would benefit all of the work and the infrastructure to ensure that youth and their families are able to access healthy food in Denver. So a little bit more background on the HFDK initiative. It was established as a result of a resident-led ballot measure that Denver voters approved in our November 2018 election. It resulted in a small tax increase, about a penny on a $10 purchase, which established a special revenue fund for healthy food access and food-based education for Denver's youth. This initiative really aims to help make sure Denver kids have enough to eat while also receiving hands-on education in gardening, cooking, and nutrition. Funds can also be used to purchase local food from Colorado farms, ranches, and food manufacturers, and the dollars must principally benefit Denver and Denver residents, since this is Denver taxpayer dollars. We are expected to generate about $11 million a year through this sales and use tax increase, and recently our projections have been closer to about $16 million a year, and we have about 10 years to expend these funds. And no more than 10% of our budget can be used for city administration costs. And so this program really aims to serve Denver's low income and underserved youth. So a little bit about the background of the campaign. So the original idea behind HFDK came from conversations around 12 years ago around possibility of a tax district that could encompass Denver County or perhaps multiple counties. But unfortunately, at that time, the idea stalled, but this consistent lack of dollars contributing to investing in the food system and food access continued to be a problem. At first, it wasn't exactly clear what the investment priorities would be for such a fund, since there are a lot of options around funding community farms or job training programs, for example. So over a decade ago, there wasn't a ton of consensus. But the idea for a fund like Healthy Food for Denver's Kids came back around 2015 and 2016 as part of community engagement conversations around the Denver Food Vision, which is a comprehensive, collaborative, and aspirational vision for Denver's food system by the year 2030. A couple of years later, so 2017 to 2018, eventually the idea of this ballot initiative came around. Community members really drove this effort and created a 501c4 organization, like an electoral entity, where they hired a research team and polling professionals to help explore different options. And it turns out there weren't a lot of examples similar to this around the country. So the team was really needing to innovate and be creative. They explored different options. So for example, a tax that could possibly fund grocery stores, or a tax that could fund healthy food for kids. And they explored different tax types. So a sales tax, for example, or even a marijuana or cannabis tax. After polling different messages to understand what really motivated residents to vote, what issues residents care about, they realized that the Healthy Food for Kids concept really resonated the most with the community. There were some community-based food organizations who at the time were able to help participate in the promotion of the campaign. While we also know that advocacy can sometimes be a tricky space for some nonprofits to engage in. Ultimately, this group of community members collected close to 10,000 signatures from Denver residents who said they would be supportive of this concept going to the ballot for Denver voters to decide on. Then in 2018, ultimately, Ordinance 302 for Healthy Food for Denver's Kids passed with a 59% yes votes. So that is right, Denver voters voluntarily self-imposed a tax to pay for healthy food access for low-income youth and their families. At the time, it cost about $150,000 to run this campaign in 2018, and it was all volunteers. There weren't any paid staff behind this. Hundreds of community members were involved in this collective effort, with a core group of around 20 volunteers who did a lot of the heavy lifting. In the end, HFDK's passage was really the result of broad-based participatory research, residents coming together to fight for resourcing things that they really felt like they mattered to them, and direct democracy where voters had the power to decide the future of this initiative. And this next slide is a short video from the campaign.
Hello, I am Christine Alford. On behalf of Denver Food Rescue, I am the program director and also a community resident in the Five Points community. I am a mother. I have 4 boys that live in the house with me. I don't know what it is to have to think about whether I'm paying a bill or putting fruits and vegetables on the table. But I do know as a community member that most of the families that I work with do have to make these sacrifices daily. Being able to give my students and my families a meal also will nourish their mind and nourish their soul in order for them to be productive members in the community. I am a part of this ballot initiative, and I vote yes for healthy food for kids in Denver. And I would like for you guys to vote yes as well.
All right, so the initiative has passed, and now we're really in the implementation phase. So I wanted to share a little bit about the HFDK Commission. So this is a mayoral appointed body of 13 volunteers that really help drive the funding strategy and decision-making of the program, including reviewing grant applications and selecting grantees. It includes members of Denver City Council, City and County of Denver staff, and community members. It's a racially diverse group. More than 2/3 identify as individuals of color, and the commission includes folks with lived experience of hunger and food insecurity. The group meets monthly, and we always encourage members of the public and grantee partners to attend. And as a point of clarification, the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, or DDPHE, so includes myself and the rest of the HFDK staff, really provide operational support for the program, including implementing the decisions and guidance set forth by the Commission. So first and foremost, this is a grant-making entity. It's not a big P policy-making body, and legislative policy change is really outside HFDK's scope, and instead we refer those issues to the Denver Sustainable Food Policy Council. And annually, we're required to report to the mayor and to Denver City Council about our progress and impact. So I wanted to briefly share our theory of change and how we envision impacting the vision. So our long-term vision is that all Denver kids have reliable access to healthy, nutritious, and culturally diverse food and food education that helps them grow, learn, and thrive for life. We see these impacts in three broad buckets. So one being related overall to food security, one being more about that food education, and then lastly, how we're impacting the food system. We see this through a variety of different outcome areas. So connecting kids and families to food resources in their community, receiving that education in growing and cooking and eating healthy food, participation in food assistance programs and knowing where and how to use their benefits. That includes increasing reach of the Child and Adult Care Food Program, or CACFP, and the Summer Food Service Program, SFSP, or summer meals. We hope to increase access to healthy foods through policy, systems, and environment changes, expand and strengthen partnerships among our grantee organizations, and then also increase overall community engagement and development through the initiative. And we do this through a few different strategies. So first and foremost, as a grant-making entity, we're investing in equitable, healthy food access, food education, federal nutrition assistance programs, food sovereignty and PSE changes. And then secondly, we see our role also as supporting capacity building, providing technical assistance, developing partnerships, and keeping an evaluation and learning mindset in the work that we do. And lastly, our initiative really commits to engaging youth and their families who have lived experience to inform solutions, and we commit to centering equity, diversity, and inclusion in our activities and outcomes. So briefly, who's eligible for funding? We distribute funds through competitive grant-making processes to Denver nonprofits, public schools, including Denver Public Schools or DPS, as well as city agencies. Funding can support programs like healthy meals and snacks, classes on nutrition, cooking, gardening, and food justice, and then free food distribution. Could be meals, snacks, school food pantries, or mobile food markets. And we really emphasize serving priority populations. So that could look like low-income communities of color, folks who have just arrived to our country, LGBTQ populations, or folks who are unhoused or experiencing homelessness. The fund is designed to serve Denver overall and reach citywide, but we do have priority neighborhoods that have been identified as well, where we're hoping to funnel more resources based on need. Funding to date, so we have done so far 4 annual requests for proposals, or RFPs, and distributed $66.5 million to 95 unique organizations since 2020, or 133 different contracts. We're currently in the process of developing and rolling out our 5th funding opportunity. And we've also done emergency hunger relief grants as part of COVID in 2020, and then also did a round of smaller micro grants in 2021 that we are hoping to bring back in the future to ensure that our funding is accessible also to smaller organizations, that we can be as equitable as possible. And another note that our grants are done on a reimbursement basis monthly. And so we just ask partners to work with us in that way to ensure that the funds get out. Some of the work that we funded in the past, so local food procurement for school food pantries, where we have a grantee who's procuring thousands of pounds of food, all local, and partnering with a dozen schools and DPS to reach over 4,000 unique individuals with fresh, healthy local food. We're also supporting the expansion of summer meals by partnering with the Denver Office of Children's Affairs and growing their Tasty Food program, almost doubling it from 20 to 46 sites in the past 6 months, which has been tremendous. We're working with another nonprofit to help high school students get college credit to learn about regenerative agriculture through a University of Colorado Denver course called Community Urban Farming. We're partnering with an ECE provider who's hired a WIC dietitian from Denver Health to attend their community market to help shoppers sign up for WIC. We're also working with local nonprofits who not only grow food on their urban farms, but are also accepting SNAP as a form of payment and assisting families with enrollment themselves. Another partner of ours has worked with AmeriCorps to create their own urban agriculture workforce development program, which includes part-time seasonal positions to support gardening, community building, and other aspects of urban agriculture that could be a scalable and replicable program. Another one of our grantees has created a large-scale 4,000 square foot warehouse in Southwest Denver that will ultimately support almost all other HFDK grantee partners with purchasing local food and helping other organizations improve their purchasing efforts as a storage and distribution hub. And lastly, one of our other partners has really built their team up from those who have lived experience with food insecurity and who live in the neighborhood. And so they are supporting local leadership development, community wealth building, and really being a champion of language justice. So these are just a few examples of innovative programs, and you'll hear more about one, Denver Inner City Parish, a little bit later once I pass it over to my colleagues from that organization. So these are the organizations that HFDK has currently contracted with as part of our second, third, and fourth cohorts. It's really a mix of both small nonprofits that are volunteer-led and larger organizations that are fairly well-resourced. We've partnered with different city agencies like Denver Public Library and Denver Public Safety. We provide grants to the school district, including both individual schools and larger departments or offices like food and nutrition services. And so this is just an example of the great work being done across the community. And here are some highlights from our most recent round of grantee data, the data to date, where collectively our grantees have served over 35 million meals, distributed more than 22 million pounds of food to youth and families, enrolled close to 75,000 individuals in SNAP and WIC, harvested over 200,000 pounds of food from local gardens and farms. They're connecting to partners and have distributed close to 10 million pounds of food to other organizations working in the Denver food system, and have provided over 25,000 instruction hours in food and nutrition education, collectively reaching over 75,000 youth in food classes and workshops. At this point, I'm really pleased and excited to pass over the presentation time to my colleagues from Denver Inner City Parish to share more about their program model and work.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Torres, and I am the program director of the Denver Inner City Parish. My colleague and I, Esmeralda, will be presenting kind of what we do around the work we've done for HFDK with HFDK money, and how it's kind of helped us and propelled us into a more focused organization around health and wellness, and talk about the evolution of our programs from that. So yeah, to give you a history of the organization, Denver Inner City Parish started in 1960. We were started by churches and communities in West Denver in the 60s, when the whole concept or the experience of white flight was happening in urban centers across the United States. We were a product of that. As these churches and these congregations were leaving the neighborhood, they wanted to leave something for the populations that were coming into these urban centers. And we were a product of many congregations coming together and saying, let's leave something here. And I always say that even though we were started by these church organizations, we are not a religious organization. For us, parish means a geographical community similar to the New Orleans definition, and our community is Denver. And that is kind of our scope of work that we do around the city, is all of Denver. We will swallow all of Denver when and if we can. We were one of 8 or 9 parish movements that were happening across the United States in cities like Harlem and New Orleans. We are the only one in existence today. So we are the last of those parish movements that existed throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Over the years, DICP has offered services in education, hunger, senior isolation, and care navigation. And some of those we still do to this day. Our oldest running programs still exist, our seniors and hunger programs, or our food pantry. So those are our longest running programs, and they still exist to this day. And although we've had many programs throughout our history, DICP has evolved into a more health and wellness focused organization, and hunger programs are a focal point for DICP currently. All of our health and wellness programs started with the food pantry or what we called our hunger programs. We have now VeggieRx, which is our health education program, Greens and Grains, which is our food truck program. And we also do, with our seniors program, we offer senior food boxes for those seniors who can't get out and about and need services like that. We also do care navigation, where we help people with SNAP and WIC and other emergency services like energy bills and things like that. And what occurred over the many years of the organization is that we started to learn from our participants, especially in the food pantry, that there was a need for more around food, food education, how to eat better, what a healthy meal looks like. And so a lot of our programs are derived from our original program, our food pantry. And HFDK has allowed us to build a program model that targets communities with all of our programs. So i.e. VeggieRx will go in and do health education at a school or a parent group. And then we follow up with our Greens and Grains food truck that shows people how to do a healthy meal. And those are free, by the way. We offer free healthy meals out of our Greens and Grains food truck. The pantry offers a healthy bag of groceries at that community. And for our food pantry, we strive to have 50% of what's on the truck lean proteins and fresh produce. And then our care navigation comes in and helps provide services to our participants that are in need of, like I said, emergency assistance. If they need help with getting on SNAP and WIC and other services, that's what we're here for. All this work we've learned and evolved. DICP is equipped and positioned to address health and wellness in our communities, and are looking to build out new health and wellness programs and improve the programs we currently offer. So right now, because of the funding we've received, we've really have been able to think long-term about where the organization is going, and develop concepts for new programs that we want to make sure they take shape in the next few years.
I'm Esmeralda, the VeggieRx Program Director, and I'll talk a little bit about our programs. So our mobile pantry is out in the community visiting school sites, Denver housing sites, and offers a once-a-week walk-in site at our building. Each one of these sites is client choice pantry, where participants can choose food of their choice from a selection of fresh produce, frozen protein, grains, typical staples like rice and beans. Our seniors program caters to the needs of older adults by delivering a pre-packed box of healthy food to their doorstep and engaging them in healthy choices classes, such as physical activities and nutrition classes that speak to the needs of older adult diets. Participants that come to in-house programming also have access to our care navigators 3 times a week, where they can get help accessing the program eligibility application kit, or PEAK. Our care navigators come out to different pantry distribution sites with their laptops and hotspots to provide technical assistance to anyone needing help in enrollment or navigating the federal benefit system. Our navigators are SNAP certified and offer guidance on enrollment and trying to fill the SNAP gap. By providing presentations, resources at community sites, people become informed of our resources and can then set up a one-on-one appointment to address their personal needs in a few different languages. Being that we have an immigrant center on site, we often help newcomers navigate the system in their native language. Greens and Grains is one of the most recent programs to the parish, providing healthy, fresh, cooked from scratch meals to Denver youth. Generally catering to students on their way home from school, we provide a healthier option than that of the usual corner store visit. Items such as tamales, tacos, and spring rolls and Mexican street corn are what entice kiddos to try our healthy meals. We also provide a QR code on our packaging so families can get the recipe and remake it at home if they wish. Greens and Grains participates in the Summer Food Service Program, providing lunches to families who are on the fringes by taking breakfast, lunch, and snacks to summer camps, transitional housing, and parks. And we plan to look into CACFP for year-round funding. VeggieRx is our nutrition education program, serving all ages with our 8-session curriculum, which covers the basics in nutrition, cooking, and exercise, offering hands-on learning in gardening, baking, sauteing, and smoothie making. Children are encouraged to get into the kitchen and make their own meals, stressing the fact that eating a variety of foods will help our bodies stay stronger and healthier. We provide the slogan, "Eat the Rainbow," throughout the course and try to reinforce it with our swag, which participants receive at the final class. You can use the QR code that we've shared to follow our story of what we've done in the past year.
So yes, that's the Denver Inner City Parish and what we've been up to lately. We'd like to thank HFDK for funding our efforts and allowing us to see a brighter and bigger vision for the future of programs here. And for more information, you may go to the resources you see on the slide deck there, DICP.org. You can also see our annual report there as well with that resource around the annual report, and the link to VeggieRx and Greens and Grains are also in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jason Esmeralda. Really appreciate getting to elevate your story with a wider community. There are a couple of other links here for folks wanting to learn more about the HFDK program overall, including links to our most recent annual reports and learnings from our evaluation. We have a resource library that includes recordings for over 30 webinars on different programmatic resources. And then we also have a presentation about how we're elevating equitable grant making practices and principles in the work that we do. So I encourage you to check out those additional tools and resources. And as we look ahead to the future of the initiative, as I mentioned, we are looking at pushing out our 5th round of funding. We recently brought on a new evaluation contractor who will be working with over the next 4 years on strategic planning. We're focusing more as well on nutrition quality and helping our partners elevating the work they're doing around providing cultural foods, as well as continued focus on expanding the reach of federal nutrition assistance programs like SNAP and WIC, CACFP, and summer meals, supporting the various organizations in our community working on school gardening, and also some racial equity work and language access support. So thank you all so much for watching our presentation. We really enjoyed sharing our stories with you, and please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us if you want to learn more or have any questions. Thank you.